In the early 2000s, I was in a vampire cult, an Anne Rice vampire cult, and I am ready to talk about it. If you are an elder millennial, you probably remember the old days of the internet. There was no social media, we were all just kind of hanging out on forums and chat rooms, the good old days. And when I was in my early teens, I was really into online role-playing. And I was also a baby goth, so I was really into vampires and witches and ghosts and the paranormal. When I was around 15, I found an internet forum that looked on the surface just like a regular role-playing forum, specifically in the Anne Rice fandom. But unlike other role-playing forums where you would join and audition for a character and maybe you would get to play, a character from the books, this was a little bit different. The admin and the moderators on the forum were all the vampire characters. And if you wanted to join, you just kind of had to join as yourself. You were just your regular self, showing up authentically as who you were in real life. I thought that was an interesting premise, so I was like, cool. All right, I don't know how this is going to work exactly, but let's see what it's all about. What struck me immediately about this place was there was no real role-playing going on. There was no collaborative writing, putting yourself in a scene, imagining yourself in the same space as these characters. It was just a regular discussion board. We would discuss politics and movies and literature and philosophy and religion, but occasionally, one of the vampires would weigh in. This is kind of a long story, so please follow along for part 2. But the short version is, over time, it started to become clear that most of the people on this forum, many of whom were grown-ass adults with kids and grandkids, proper careers, real jobs, all these people genuinely believed that the vampire moderators were the actual Anne Rice vampires. There were a lot of mind games that went on to bully and coerce and manipulate all of us into believing that that was the truth. And I did believe it for almost a decade. In fact, this cult is the reason that I now live in New Orleans. And they are also the reason that I wound up in hospital because I almost committed slewer slide. Anyway, let me know if you want part 2.